Film starts with a boy walking into a room. There were 3 dead bodies in that room and bullets too. Then he picks up a bullet cover and looking at it asks himself, who am I? Then he replies, I am Benjamin. This boy Benjamin Berlin was the most wanted computer specialist. In the world of the internet, his name is Who Am I? Then Benjamin goes to the cyber divisions of the Europol and meets a female officer. She asks, you wanted to meet me, then tell me what is the matter? Benjamin says nothing, but thinks that I am trapped in a world that has no beginning or end. The story later turns into flashback. Benjamin tells the detective that he wanted to be a hero since childhood and wanted to do those tasks which were not done by anyone. I also have a Batman, a Superman story that ended in his childhood. When I was born, my father left us and went to France. My mother took her own life when I was 8 years old. My grandfather died in World War I. He did not come from Russia, but his companions had brought 3 bullet covers from there. My mother protected them in a small box. After that, my grandmother raised me. The story comes to the present where the detective says that I am not a psychologist. Why are you telling me all this? Just tell me about Mr. X and his group of friends. Actually, Mr. X was in a group named Friends Group. He is a member of this group and it is the most famous group in Russia. And it has 4 members and Mr. X is the most prominent hacker on the dark net. Nobody knows about Mr. X. No one has even seen him. Later, he says if you want to catch Mr. X you have to listen to me carefully. He says, I started using the computer at the age of 14. I encountered a system for the first time and discovered the world of the internet, as well as darknet, and I realized for the first time that I was a genius. The world was wasting its time on the internet and I was making my mark in another world called darknet. I used to work day and night on computer and there are many hackers, but my favorite one is Mr. X, because nobody knows about him. No one knows from where he sits and operates his system. He is a role model for all hackers. Here we explore Mr. X's 3 laws, and these are: no system is secure. Always do the impossible task and enjoy the cyber world. Benjamin says, I had to do a pizza delivery job, and one night when I went to deliver pizza to some students, there I saw a girl named Mary and she was my classmate and I like her. She was also my friend, but she didn't recognize me at that time. They were preparing for the exam, but Mary was not ready for the exam. She will fail the exam and I wanted to help her. And that is how I would impress her and be a superhero to her. Then I reached her university to help her. I confronted the server and copied the question paper, but then the security guards came and I was caught. I had no criminal record, so they sentenced me 50 hours of community service. For this he has to clean the whole city, and while doing so he meets a man. He also got the same punishment that Benjamin got. The man tells his name is Max and asks him, what have you done that he got this punishment? He reveals that he has hacked a university server and the man is impressed. Then he invites him to a party at his house. Mary was also at the party. She doesn't recognize Benjamin. Max introduces Benjamin to his friend. He was also a hacker. He asks Benjamin that Max told us you are good at computer language and combat. Come and prove it. Benjamin gets into the system and turns off the lights throughout the city. Meanwhile, the police arrive because there was too much noise in party. When the police come, people run away. Max and his friends are gone and Benjamin and Mary were there and she remembers everything. She recognizes that he was her friend. Later, Benjamin, Max and his friends go to enjoy a government seminar. Hitler's presentation was going on and he was facing the server. They make a funny video of Hitler on the screen where his performance is going on. People wonder who the hell is sitting there. The security comes to know that someone is doing this from this van. Before security could catch them, they ran away. The story shifts to the present where Benjamin was sitting in front of the detective. She says, why should I believe you? Then he begins to reveal her personal information to the detective. He tells that I have taken your information before coming here while fighting with your system. Later, they make Benjamin's grandmother's house their headquarters. They name this group Clay and they say, we keep fighting for fame. We had our name on social media and even our name was in the news. Now the Clay group had spread around the world. They want to know the suggestion of Mr. X about their group as he is the greatest hacker in the world. He is their idol, and when Mr. X was asked about the Clay group, he said who that group is? I don't know. Max is disappointed to hear this. They did not stop and did not lose heart and kept fighting one by one. One day, he receives a message from Mr. X and it was a secret file of a government agency. Mr. X has reported on cybercrime, in which he says that the Clay group is not a good group, that means it is not harmful. Mr. X mocks them and says that they are still kids and don't know how to cope. This gets them worried and Benjamin says we have to do something big. We must face the building of the German Center. Many hackers tried to tackle this building, but till date no one has been successful in this task. After agreeing, they go to the place where the building's garbage was dumped and find some files there. There were multiple email IDs in those files and they message those emails and get the security codes. Similarly, they break into the German Center Intelligence building. Benjamin counters their servers and copies their data. They also hack all the printers out there. A print comes out of those printers that had their logo on them and a line was written. Clay is here, no system is safe. After confronting the building, they are having a party, and Benjamin sees Max and Mary together. Benjamin is sad because he likes her. He leaves angrily and sends the data of that building to Mr. X. Benjamin's friends come to visit him and he starts fighting with Max because of Mary. Meanwhile, news came on TV that last night some hackers copy some secret files from the German Center Intelligence building. They have even killed a man. The man was a member of a friends group and was also working for German intelligence. He used to give all the information of his friends group to that detective. In files sent by Benjamin to Mr. X, they learn that the man is an agent. That's why he used to give all the information about his friends group to the detective. Mr. X finished it and left those files too. So the Clay group will be blamed for the murder Mr. X's did. Benjamin's friends are shocked as they do not know anything about it. Who killed that guy? Why and how? They suspect that and shout at Benjamin and say, "What have we decided? We only wanted to hack printers, but what have you done? You've ruined everything. Now we're stuck." Benjamin says that I did this for all of you, not for myself. So we will become famous in the world of combat. Benjamin says we have to find Mr. X if we want to escape. We have to find out whose real face is behind him. I didn't murder him, but Mr. X did. Benjamin contacts Mr. X to prove his innocence. For this they use public networks. Benjamin asks about the data I sent you, you sold it to the Russians. That's why the government has declared the Friends and Clay groups as terrorists. We know you are a member of a friend group and we would like to join this group too. Later, we learn that Mr. X actually wants to control Europol. Europol is an agency, as I told you at the beginning of the film. Mr. X tells Benjamin that if you want to join the Friends group, you must install the Trojan to the Europol system. It is actually a virus and is also called a horse program. It hides its original content to fool the user. The file is not harmful and works through Wood Horse. Meanwhile, the police arrive but Benjamin runs away before the police can catch him. They try to get inside Europol where they have to install the Trojan virus. During this attempt, Max gets injured on his hand but Benjamin gets a visiting pass. He chooses and wears. He tells the guard that my wallet is left inside and I need it. Benjamin goes in and installs and controls the Trojan system in Europol. The next day, he fixes another Trojan in it. When Mr. X installs this Trojan, he will know who Mr. X is. But unfortunately, Mr. X finds out. That's why it doesn't accept this Trojan. He then takes a picture from Benjamin's webcam and uploads it to the net. Meanwhile, the Russian mafia reaches there. They were Russians to whom Mr. X had sold that data. Now they want to finish Benjamin. He runs and goes to the hotel where his friends were waiting for him. Benjamin goes to the hotel room and finds his friends dead. This is the same scene we saw in the beginning. When Benjamin was asking who am I? The story now turns to the present where Benjamin was telling his story to the detective. Benjamin says that I want to find Mr. X at any cost because he has killed my friends and wants to kill me too. Detective says, how will you do this? He says I will attack his weakness. I will break his pride. For this you have to put me on the witness protection program, and the detective agrees. Benjamin spreads news on the dark net that Mr. X works for the government. So he has eliminated the agent who was a member of the Allied group and worked for the German Intelligence Center. That dark net sells people's identities to Russians. Mr. X gets furious and shocked because of this. He tries to find out who is doing all this. In the dark net world, Benjamin becomes Mr. X and says I am Mr. X. Mr. X gets mad at this and wants to come to the place where Benjamin is saying that I am Mr. X. The real Mr. X could not come here because Benjamin had made security arrangements. He cannot come there because of security. Mr. X gets furious because of this and breaks all security and reaches Benjamin. Arriving there, he tries to remove his mask but he couldn't, and then Benjamin took off his mask. He says, I am Benjamin, and now I know who you are. Here the identity of Mr. X is revealed and he is an American who lives in New York. He is a 19-year-old boy and the FBI arrests him. The detective tells Benjamin, get ready now, after some time you will be released and find a new place in life. Saying this she was leaving and then noticed the wound on his hand. Here she suspects Benjamin because Max had the same mark on his hand when they were entering the Europol office. The detective proceeds to investigate it. She goes to Benjamin's house and finds some drug covers. Then she goes to Mary and asks about him, showing his picture. At first she doesn't recognize him, but when she says his name she recognizes him. She says, yes, I remember he used to study with me in my school. But I haven't seen him in a long time. Later, the detective goes to the doctor who treated Benjamin's mother. The doctor reveals that his mother has multiple personality disorders. His mother has 4 personalities and later, she ended her life. Then she asks the doctor if Benjamin has this disorder. The doctor replies, yes, he may have this disorder, it is possible. She then goes to his grandmother's house and finds the box that contained bullet covers from World War II. Here, the detective understands everything and goes to Benjamin. She says we haven't found any dead body in hotel room. You told us that you saw the dead bodies of your friend there because those humans did not exist. The story you told me was just your imagination. Whatever has happened to date, you are doing it alone and we cannot give you a witness protection program because you are not medically fit. You are also a patient of multiple personality disorder. And this is the rule of the government and I cannot do anything. Benjamin says no, I am completely fit and I have no disease. I don't have any disease like my mother. And you have promised me witness protection, but the detective says sorry, I can't do anything. It's the government's rule and then she takes him to the server room. She gives him 5 minutes and says you have a chance to change his personality. Benjamin does not change his identity in the server room but deletes all his data from it. Means there is no record or identification of Benjamin. He has no presence and he does not exist. They get into car and leave the spot. Benjamin is on a ship with his friends Max and Mary. At that time, Benjamin manipulated the detective to make sure he was not sick. Actually, he has done this to save his friends. Yes, he was also a patient of multiple personality disorder. What is shown in the film was the get-up of Benjamin. The story of the film ends with this suspense. Thanks for watching and subscribing as it helps the channel.